the sort of defensive gap that we're seeing between these players. But either way, we're going to find out right now. It is our warm-up. CMDINGO up against Backchest.
CMDINGO going with a TKI here, kind of waiting for Backchest. Backchest seems to be a little bit...
Decent cannon?
No,
the plonk?
They were just waiting.
Actual plonking? Literally no pieces placed? And hey, that's one way to start off a warm-up, and they're going to continue it with a nice dono and a quick counter spike, and suddenly, what was a seemingly non-existent player has now become a real threat for CMDINGO as Backchest begins to play in full force here, setting up this nice TST shape for the TSD, and getting a nice combo down. Almost had the multiplier there, but not quite. But Dingo is still getting pushed all the way up, clearly not ready for this strange warm-up strategy, but it's going to prove effective for Road to a Train.
Perhaps the do-nothing opener may have actually been the best opener all along, just kind of waiting for your opponent to send you stuff and then pushing back really, really hard. I don't know if they're going to do that in the actual game, but it's a warm-up of all time. Yeah.
Wow, I just like to point out, these are two players who both just hit him with the have fun. No good luck. They said, you can have as much fun as you want. I hope you get 1 in 10 on your STSD, but you can have a blast doing it. And that, honestly,
boomerangs to fix that one.
They're kind of spitting. If I'm in a tournament, do I really want my opponent to have good luck? I'm trying to win.
Yeah, we at TWC endorse, good luck, have fun, and sportsmanship.
I mean, they hit the have fun. They're clearly sportsmanlike, but I don't know. They might be pushing the envelope here of the meta. And speaking of pushing, Dingo is pushing out this quick double T-spin opener and going to be mostly canceled by Backchest, but that is not going to lead to much as Dingo is going to be building up this back-to-back real quick, and Backchest going to need to back-check this stacking decision and do manage to find a combo to survive a little bit longer, leaving them with a very clean stack. And speaking of clean stacks, Dingo's is anything but at the moment, but manages to find a little bit of funneling to even that out.
Yeah, I did really like Dingo's creative T-spin setups there, trying to continue for more, building up back-to-back however they can. We really love to see the kind of things that players are coming up with in order to find. Exactly, just like this. Look at this misdrop turned into a T-spin from Dingo's side, sending over to Road to H-Rank, building up a back-to-back 11, but unfortunately breaking it, leaving Backchest a way to come back here.
Absolutely. I could absolutely have been convinced that was intentional because of how clean it was. And Dingo, speaking of clean, is keeping it clean at the moment, starting to build up this pressure. And meanwhile, Back is doing a little bit of greeting for this T-spin, manages to get it off though and turn it into a 19 spike on that downstack combo. And again, these are two players who love to put cheese on the other side, so we're going to see who has their cheese management handled and who is able to actually secure the kill when it comes down to it. Because so far, we've seen a lot of moments where these players are at the very top, and only one where a round was taken, and that was CMDINGO, bringing it to 1-0.
Yeah, Backchest really trying to get out of there, but just a little bit of unfortunate piece placements at the top means that Dingo is able to get the punish here. Dingo going for another punish yet again. Nice C-spin opener, followed by misdrop into a PC. That was not a misdrop. That is my bad there. Right into a blazingly fast LST, but it seems like Backchest is still in the game and recovered from the attack here. Very
not
well,
only recovered, but was looking for the mid-game PC there. Not going to find it, but Dingo has some misdrops to contend with at the moment, so this is a perfect time for Back to get some back-to-back going. And right now, we are seeing the upstack begin, but speaking of stack, Dingo has gotten all the way down with that down stack, and now is building up some back-to-back of his own, and starting to speed up as well. Huge burst speed coming out from CMDINGO, and Back is being pushed all the way up. Going to find a down stack there, surviving just a little bit longer, but Dingo is just absolutely grooving right now. 12 back-to-back, but Back seeming largely, I can't see, but Backchest seeming unharmed by that insane amount of pressure, the down stack coming in full force.
Yeah, I will say the speed gap between CMDINGO and Road to H-Rank is pretty significant, with Dingo having the definite advantage right there, but Backchest is still staying in the game with some well-timed cancels. Speaking of cancels though, CMDINGO needs to cancel this, but this T-spin misdrop is going to be really bad for them, trying to downstack, and Road to H-Rank looking for the punish, which they do get off here to tie the game.
very interesting to see that Backchess's strategy seems to be more downstack oriented and on this sort of defensive agenda where they kind of just wait for you to make a significant mistake and then punish you. And meanwhile, on Dingo's side, they seem to be more willing to sort of take the initiative if the players are at a standstill. So we'll have to see what strategy ends up prevailing in this match. But right now, what is prevailing is this huge amount of pressure coming out from Backchess, but that downstack from Dingo going to put an end to that. And in fact, maybe pushing back all the way out. They do find a nice combo, and it has a great skim on that L to survive a little bit longer. And now they are back into this match.
Yeah, it seems like CMDINGO really struggling to put Road to H rank down here. A lot of pressure coming out, and you'd really expect them to be taking these games. But no, Backchess is keeping on regardless of all expectations. Seeming to build up some back-to-back their own, looking for a nice cancel. CMDINGO still putting on as much pressure as they can. I'm sure both of these players are remembering the have fun and no GLHF promise they made to each other back before the game.
Absolutely, but speaking of back, they are back to putting up some pressure right now, and Backchess going to take that match real quick with a back-to-back ×3 as they get a nice bit of APM of their own, which we don't always see, but good to know they have the awareness to capitalize when it is the most optimal move to do so. And capitalize they did in that last match, and they're looking to do it again. They've been given some clean garbage, and they know exactly what to do with it. Meanwhile, Dingo is sitting on a little bit of cheese.
Honestly, Bad Galvin, I'm surprised you know about capitalizing, seeing how you feel about your name being capitalized.
So true. I know exactly when to capitalize and when to not capitalize. And right now is a chance for Dingo to do the former, sending up a huge 24 spike over to Backchess's side. But Backchess responding with a nice TSD. This is such clean back-to-back right now. 6, but unfortunately going to be able to get no more out of it. And a great decision to cancel there. That would have been a lot of cheese being sent over to Road to H-Rank's board, but going to instead decide to just sacrifice that one attack and be left with a much better board state, and we can see why that was beneficial in the long term.
That was completely brutal. CMDINGO putting on constant APM, constant T-spins, and constant pressure, but one J misdrop completely spelled doom for them. It really seems like Road to H-Rank is waiting out for the misdrops on Dingo's board in order to take the very important punishes. Yet truly no line matters except the last line that tops out your opponent, and it seems like Road to H-Rank is taking that to heart with this philosophy.
I'd like to point out we just had 10 full seconds of 6 APM gameplay, which I just think is awesome. Especially because it wasn't like misdrops either, that was just the choices. It was just 6 APM of choices. And fully 6 APM of what may be genius play, because this Flonk has so far been going really well for Backchess as we see so much clean garbage, but that misdrop is devastating at the very top. They do find a nice combo into that quad, a 25 all the way down, but Dingo is ready to cancel and still surviving, going to be sending over a 10 of their own and starting to build up some back-to-back to take it to 2-3.
Yeah, I'm surprised that 3 back-to-back was enough for that. You know, we've seen people like Promo pulling out the 20 plus back-to-back and still not getting kills. But it really goes to show that it's not always just about back-to-back, it is about when you're sending that. But it does seem like CMDINGO does just want more in general as they build up back-to-back to the very top of the board. A little bit of a misdrop, but they're able to fix it out. Road to H-Rank's board looking like the cheese factory here, spiked up to the top of the board, and a lot more cheese than they can handle to downstack there. Yeah, hopefully they are not lactose intolerant for that amount of cheese, because that would be definitely not beneficial for them.
Absolutely banished to the lasagna labyrinth during that round, and they are never to return, but they may return to having a lead if they can figure out a way to capitalize on Dingo's clean garbage being sent over. They always seem ready to cancel, but may not seem as ready to accept, and that could be something they could try to do more of if they want a way to effectively convert this clean into a counter spike, and it seems like they're starting to figure that out as they have this LST-like shape on top of that clean garbage, and that is going to lead to a huge counter spike and 4-3 in favor of Road to H-Rank.
I will say that was pretty crazy how Backchess decided instead of downstacking the cheese at the bottom of the board, they just built up instead on top of it and sent over a giant spike to CMDINGO to clutch out that round. Very well played there for the specific time it was in. Speaking of plays though, it seems like CMDINGO's really going for a big play here. A lot of upstacking, sending over as much as they can to Road to H-Rank, who is going to be on the receiving end for now.
Absolutely,
and trying to build up a little more. I think a little bit of misdrops is going to halt their pressure for the moment, but Road to H rank does have the board to counter spike off of once they get there.
Absolutely, it really makes me wonder, how much should Dingo be committing to pressure instead of just spiking? We know that Dingo can launch off these huge attacks, but we've also seen the danger of giving back chest so much clean garbage to work with, so you've got to wonder how much is too much, and that was clearly too much garbage for CMDINGO to handle, as back chest brings it up to 5-3.
Yeah, it's looking like a little bit of a lead for back chest right now, but it's certainly not something that we haven't seen players get out of. Still anybody's game right now. Seems like Road to H rank going for the big C-spin, sending CMDINGO to the top of their board. But Dingo has a lot of garbage counter spike on, 15 spike to Road to H rank, but it is completely nullified from a well-timed cancel.
Yeah, both players there actually had absolutely massive attacks, so the result was a massive amount of nothing there. But on that clean garbage that's going to follow up, Back will be able to bring it up to 6-3. Are we going to see some 6-3, 6-3 stacking here? We are not. It's a TKI on both sides. They are piece for piece at the moment. Not for too much longer, though. Backchest chooses to wait. Sets up a nice dono with the O and accepts the clean garbage. Great decision there. Unfortunately, going to be left with a poor Q to capitalize on that decision. They will still find a nice multiplier, though, and that is all they need for that round. 3-7.
It really seems like CMDINGO going for a little bit too much greed in these couple rounds. I feel like they might need to be working a way around it and going for a little bit more timing against the more bonk playstyle of Road to H rank.
Alright, and here we go. Speaking of Road to H rank, it is that exact player who is in the driver's seat right now. Dingo trying to work through some of this cheese, gets a nice spike off, and unfortunately for them, not going to be able to get the finishing blow right as Back has a misdrop, or are they? That unfortunately was not a rotation that Back could do, and it left them in a very, very poor spot to downstack, and that was all that Dingo needed.
Yeah, it could be the momentum shifting in Dingo's favor as they lead with this pretty solid MKO. Road to H rank going for incomplete TST into an Imperial Cross. Oh my god, yes, Team BK from Road to H rank looking pretty nice, up stacking around it. But CMDINGO's board looking super clean with this 20 spike, sending over to back chest here. A little bit of misdrops on CMDINGO's board means that they're gonna have to down stack out of it, halting the pressure temporarily, but it is certainly not over, as both players at a pretty even state at the moment.
Yeah, and now it is going to be Backchest who has a great opportunity with that Kaidan, doing so much greeting for it, but going to still get it off and be left with a stack that does allow them to survive the counter spike. Oh, rough misdrop at the very top, though. That's going to be tough to get out of. They do find an amazing skim, though, to do just that, and they are still holding on. Dingo has some misdrops of his own, and that is going to be an unfortunate situation for Dingo, where they know that Back has made a mistake, but they are not in any position to capitalize, and in fact, it may be Backchest who capitalizes on Dingo's lack of initiative so far in this match.
Yeah, I don't know, Bad Goblin, what do you think is going to be the main factor that brings CMDINGO back from this deficit right here? Or what is Road to H rank going to keep on doing to keep their lead?
I think that Dingo has sort of got to clean up these misdrops. It has been a lot of situations where Back would be taken out by whatever the next attack is. That next attack never comes. I think if Dingo can get a handle on setting up these spikes in a way where they are guaranteed to get the kill, feeling a lot better for himself. But in the meantime, it is going to be Backchest who wins this war of attrition. We have had some long, long rounds, and we know that Backchest has stamina to spare.
Absolutely spot on, Bad Goblin, and it seems like we're going to be seeing a big attack from Road to H rank, pushing CMDINGO to the top of the board, trying to downstack, going to open up their well here. We're gonna have to see how they use it. Just going for the immediate spike to Road to H rank, who accepts it all and sends it back here. The lines are being exchanged back and forth. Rotate try to push up to the top, but it's not quite enough to top them out, as they still have more sauce to send back to CMDINGO, who's trying to build up a little bit more back-to-back at the moment.
Trying and succeeding. This 6-3 stack is absolutely popping off, but unfortunately, that is going to have the lid reapplied at a crucial moment. Not going to be able to get the kill there. And oh my god, a 23 counter spike coming out from Backchest. And now it is Dingo who needs to find a way down and find a way. He will do more than just that with that huge counter spike. But again, the survival from both of these players has been absolutely wild. Neither able to deal the finishing blow. And Dingo, unfortunately, not going to be able to do it there either off of that mishold. And now we are getting into a situation where this match has been going. Gravity's starting to kick up. We are almost 3 minutes into this one round. Neither player able to finish off the other.
Yeah, for sure. Oh my god, CMDINGO trying to find a way out. Road to HRank pressuring with a 13 down stack spike, but CMDINGO still alive and pushing back in this game, determined not to lose the back chest. But unfortunately, no matter how much you resolve, if you receive too big of a spike and margin time, it seems like you will be taking that. And back chest with a 4-point lead, not looking great for Dingo at the moment.
Oh, that PC could be very interesting. Not going to get anything off of it, though. And now, Dingo is in a position to start upstacking once more. We have seen that this can go well. The problem is getting the finisher.
I think CMDINGO might need to find a little bit more consistent back-to-back in order to build up a spike. But I believe they do need to play a little bit safer because of the misdrops they're making. And speaking of the misdrops, the S misdrop means that Road to HRank is taking another game. This is looking catastrophic for CMDINGO, whose lead from back chest is seeming to be a little bit farther and farther away as they continue on.
Absolutely. What was only a 1 or 0 game difference at one point is now that of 5. And in rounds as tough and as long as this, that can feel like so much more of a deficit. Oh, but it is not an impossible one. And Dingo is proving that right now as they try to put another one on the board. Back going to find the down stack there, though. Unfortunately, being left with a bit of an awkward stack to work with. On both players' sides, actually, there is some cheese underneath that clean for Dingo, and some cheese on top of it for Back. Back manages to open it up, though, and get a cancel off, and now it's both players who sort of want to start upstacking. Dingo gets there first, though, and gets the win, bringing it to 5-9.
Yeah, unfortunately, the T pieces were way too late for back chest with their TeamTSD there. Goes to show that well-timed punishes really can mean the difference between life and death, and this MS2 from CMDINGO could be pretty good for building up a little bit of pressure for backchest at the start. Fortunately for them, backchest is almost at the bottom of the board. Just kind of tried to build up a little bit more, looking for a nice attack. Very open wells from backchest here. Trying to find a nice attack, and CMDINGO's board is not looking good. And oh, not at the end yet, but on match point, CMDINGO is in a lot of trouble here. Really needs to put on the pressure and get dialed in to come back.
Absolutely, we know that CMDINGO can take this. The problem is that execution there, and speaking of execution, Back was looking to execute that match real quick with the PCs, but now it is Dingo who's executing this counter spike at almost 5 PPS. This is an insane amount of APM, and even Back is not going to be able to survive that much pressure, and it is 6-10. Dingo starting to slowly but surely claw their way back in, bringing that deficit down to 4, but any mistake is lethal, and they need to bring it to deuce. We've got some opener gaming on both sides here, and it is going to be Dingo who comes out of it first and gets to this power stack, but the counter spike from Back going to leave them in a very awkward spot. Dingo finds the spike, though. Does Back have a way out? I don't believe they do. Not enough to cancel, and Dingo is again taking another one in this match, proving they are not out yet. The comeback is on its way.
This is absolutely disgusting so far. It seems like CMDINGO has doubled the PPS for compared to Road to HRank here, really putting on the pressure and the speed. Not only are they quick, but they are also smart here, building up a very nice well, trying to get a little bit of an attack halted by the misdrop. Road to HRank doesn't quite have enough cancel or pressure to top out CMDINGO for the punish.
Absolutely, but what they do have is 10 back-to-back, 11 now, and this is something they really got to hold on to. You've got to finish off Dingo now. You've seen how the momentum is shifting, and they open up the well to do that. They've got the STSD into the quad. This is going to be so much damage.
Oh,
28.
The 28 spike from backchest means that they are going to be taking the game over CMDINGO here.
Very well played by both players. Dingo almost able to make that comeback there, but Back changes up the strategy, makes a great adaptation, shifting completely from a downstack combo-focused style to a back-to-back pressure-focused one, and that is an excellent adaptation indeed, taking that last round of a very banger match there, and it will be backchest